Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
This is Patrick Riggins with the Patrick Riggins Show. Had a good call there from Brian. Appreciate it. What I want to get to a little bit for this last short segment of the show, and it's something that's been bugging me lately, and it should be bugging you. Although we just mostly make jokes about it, what is bugging me is all the lies the government is telling us on a daily basis without any remorse or embarrassment. Just lies. It's almost like they are trying to see if we are listening or paying attention. Such as, you know, when you're telling a story to someone and they're only half listening. So you slip something in outrageous to see if they catch it. And if they don't, you know they aren't with you. Now, I know how this sounds. If you're sitting out there and looking at all of this, how the administration and the government has worked with the media to pull the wool over your eyes. If you sit out there and say this is all conspiratorial, nothing's going on, this is all coincidence, you need to wake up. You are just fooling yourself. You are one of the cattle heading to be slaughtered. No, they're not going to kill us. They're not using us. That's not what's happening. It's like you're in a bad relationship. You're telling yourself and others that this person isn't that bad, when all your friends and family are telling you to leave this person. They are all screaming at you, telling you, yes, this person is bad, they are evil. And what happens? Well, eventually, you know, the guy just keeps beating you and either leaves you or kills you. If it's in the guy, or I guess a woman could do that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Tori knows.
Oh, yeah.
He's not saying he's been on the brunt of that, though. But
no, yeah, well, that's
well, you got to turn in your man card, you know. Careful where you walk. but you know, we sit out here and listen to all this garbage and this stuff that's wrapped up in a neat little package. And Brian hit on this in the last call, that they just wrap it all up and want you to accept it and say this is the best we got, and we really don't need to be doing that. Real quick, we'll jump to Sherman here in Severe.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, pretty good, I guess.
Okay. I was wanting to ask, I noticed no one ever really brought it up much about President Obama's ring that he wore since way back in the 80s. Every picture you look at, you'll see he has that same ring on.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people thought, well, are you married or something? That's before you ever met Michelle. But the ring has Arabic inscription on it, and it says there's one God, Allah.
Uh-huh.
And I was just curious because, you know, Obama always claims being a Christian and everything, but what's the attachment to that ring so bad?
Well, I don't know, but of course, we don't have a constitutional requirement that you be a certain religion to be president. But I understand what you're saying as far as you wonder where his loyalties lie.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, he claims that he's a Christian, but I don't know of any Christians that wears a ring with an Arabic inscription that says but one God, but, you know, is Allah.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's just trying to fit in with the rest of the government who tells you one thing and does another.
But if you look at, if they research the pictures and everything, you go all the way back into like 1981, there was a picture of him sitting there with his grandparents on it. He has the same ring.
Yep.
And I was just kind of curious about that, you know. And, all the pictures of him ever since. Matter of fact, when him and Michelle got married, he gave her that ring, and she gave it back to him as the wedding ring. Same ring.
Well, it's an interesting, and you kind of wonder where his loyalties lie, but then again, I wonder that about 99% of Congress. So,
oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I just heard you talking about, you know, for these politicians being truthful, and you know, that's fine. If a man's a Muslim, you know, or whatever his beliefs are, that's fine with me. It looks to me like they wouldn't try to hide it, though. Why not stand up and just say truthfully what you really are?
Oh, well, you know why they try to hide it, because to say that you are a Muslim, especially in America nowadays, that you're running for president, would be politically the death knell for your candidacy. You know, that's the same thing as if you were back in the 1960s and you ran for president as the Communist Party's candidate. You could just hang it up. And I think that's why, you know, and if he's Christian, he's Muslim, either way, I don't mind either way. What I do mind is the fact that he's stripping away our rights and freedoms pretty much like every president's done almost the whole time.
I agree with you there. That's true. Our Constitution is just being shredded by these politicians that they don't even really consider the faults of our forefathers and what they truly had in mind and how they established this country on these rights. I mean, this has just been outrageous, the way that we've allowed this stuff to happen to us. And they do it, you know, a little bit at a time.
Sure.
Before it gets to the point that you have no rights left.
Thank you for the call there, Sherman. We're coming up on the end. Thank you, Sherman, for that call. And I understand what he's saying. He's wondering about our president's loyalties. And as I said, I don't really have a problem with whoever wants to run, what religion they are. Are they respecting the Constitution and our rights? That's what is important. That's the oath they take. That's the oath that Congress takes. And they routinely violate that oath, well, probably almost every day they're in office or in session. None of these guys are golden. None of these guys are totally clean. And that's the problem with politics. And I said something about this last show, and I think we even used part of it on a promo. Politics, the way I defined it as, politics is where we find out, it's kind of a market-based thing where we find out what you'll sell out for. What are you going to sell your principles out for? And I addressed this a little bit at the first part of this show, where I think liberals are selling out their principles, backing their man Obama, just the same way I think conservatives are selling out their principles, backing Romney and Ryan, from looking at just not what they say, but what they've done, how they've voted. Both of them demonstrably are not people who adhere to the Constitution, either side. And you can go through Congress and see that exact same thing. There's one or two differences, or people who stand out who have voted almost always on their principles. One of them's Ron Paul, of course. His son, Rand Paul, is not quite as good as Ron, but getting there. So anyway, just keep that in mind when you're watching all these debates. Keep in mind that there's just not a lot of difference between the two, and listen to everything they say through your libertarian filter. All right, we're up on the end of the show here. If you want more information about us, you can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show. Be sure and hit the like button there on Facebook. Also on Twitter at @Patrick Riggins. And if you missed something or you want to hear the show again, you can go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. And you can also email us at patrickrigginshow@gmail.com. Join me next Sunday afternoon, where once again we'll talk about freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. This is Patrick Riggins. We'll see you next Sunday afternoon at 2. Have a great week.
Join us again next week for a solid dose of truth on the Patrick Riggins Show. Every Sunday from 2 to 3 p.m. Be there.